Welcome to the Addicted to DVC podcast, a deep dive into all things Disney Vacation Club. We share tips, tricks, and insider info, helping you make the most of your membership. Join us for the latest news, reviews, and interviews with DVC experts and enthusiasts. Whether you're a seasoned DVC member or considering your first contract, this podcast is for you. Now, here are your hosts, Mike Hurley and Gary Arruda.
Welcome to the Addicted to DVC podcast with Mike and Gary. This is episode 5, recorded in the DeFont Leroy recording studios in Sarasota, Florida, and Cranston, Rhode Island. I'm your host, Mike in Florida, joined by my cousin and co-host down up in Rhode Island, Gary. Good evening, Gary.
How's it going, Parts?
I'm doing great.
That's good. What's new in your neck of the woods?
Not much.
No, not a whole lot going on.
Another Saturday, another win, another Pro Shop win.
Yeah, but you said there were only 2 groups.
There were only 2 groups, and we finished first.
Hey, you got it's
And
better than finishing second out of 2.
You didn't mention that. You just said you won money.
I did.
Okay, well,
The devil's in the details.
The odds were in your favor.
It's a 50-50. As you can hear, we have Suzie joining us again. Good evening, Suzie.
Hi, Suzie. How are you?
Hello. Good. How are you?
Are we gonna start calling you like Cruisy Suzie?
I don't think
Cruisy
so.
Suzie.
I like that.
There have to be a lot more cruises for me to earn that nickname.
I got invited on a cruise already.
Really?
My mom said if they like the cruise they go on this coming year, then they want to go with everybody.
Your mom's going on a cruise?
Yeah, she's going with Mary.
And
On a Disney cruise?
Yeah. With
Nice.
my dad. For my mom's 70th, they're going.
Okay, awesome.
So I think a little after that. They're going in like August, I believe.
So how are you going to work this? You just straight up say, no, I'm not interested?
I said, it's probably not going to happen. You probably have to like drug and kidnap my wife to get her on a cruise. I'd be, I don't know, like a little 3-nighter just to like test the waters.
Right.
But I don't know. It's a long ways off. That's 2 years from now. Anything can happen between now
The problem is you're gonna like it. You know you're gonna like it. You just keep telling yourself you don't want to do it.
Well, that's part of the reason I don't want to do it, because I'm afraid I'll like it. Now I have all this money tied up in these DVC points.
Because everybody who's been going on these cruises, you find absolutely love it. Like you would hoping like, God, I hope he comes back and said it was terrible. And now I've crossed the aisle.
Right, but if I have all these,
extended my hand across the aisle.
I'm not a man of leisure like you. I can't just take unlimited time off to go on cruises and use all these DVC points.
By then you're going to be a big fat cat sea level.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But we'll see. You want to get back into the review? We're on part 2 here, aren't we?
We're on part 2. We are what do we
This is your first day in Italy, right?
Italy.
This is your first excursion?
Yeah.
See.
So you had your first 2 days were at sea, and then now where'd you say you stopped first? Tuscany?
No.
I have no idea.
Oh, was it Tuscany?
Florence is in Tuscany.
Oh, look at that! I pulled that one out of my orifice.
Yeah, but what was the name of the port?
Livorno.
Livorno. Yeah, Livorno.
All right, so let's. You guys had excursions planned for every port.
Every
correct?
single day. Yeah, every single day.
Took
When you're
full
a man of
advantage.
leisure like
That's not
like yours
correct.
truly.
That's
No.
an inaccurate
Well,
statement.
the last day we didn't, but it was walkable. But we did get off the ship. That's what my cousin's getting at.
Yeah, more or less. So, what was the first excursion you had?
We went to Florence.
We did a walking tour of the old city, which
Now,
I thought was really cool. Mike was a little
Unimpressed.
claustrophobic more than unimpressed.
It was
really?
It was crowded. It was a small area and it was crowded.
It's
Well,
very,
old-
it's a very, very old city. It's
Sure.
very narrow streets, and the sidewalks are minuscule.
So like I almost had to at times like keep one foot on the sidewalk and one on the street, and I was
Gotcha.
kind of walking sideways for those of you watching on our YouTube channel. And then they have all the motor scooters zipping up and down the street with people smoking cigarettes.
That's kind of fun. That adds to the ambiance a little bit, doesn't it?
Of course it does.
Got a bottle of wine on their little basket as they zip down with their cigarette in their mouth.
Bottle of wine.
So you weren't a big
I really
fan
loved
of the oldness of the city.
I like the oldness of the city. I just didn't like how compact it was.
Yeah, that's
There were
part of it.
just a
That's what
lot
I
of
mean,
things
yeah.
to do and a lot of people in a very small area.
Gotcha.
in a very condensed period of time as well. So, it's not like we were there on our own and we had as much time as we wanted to explore. We had a few hours and it was a guided tour. So, we did have a little bit of time to go off and get lunch or whatever, but
Was this one was through Disney?
Yeah.
This was
yeah,
the
everything
one,
we
right?
did was through Disney.
Yeah,
Okay.
everything we ended up doing everything with Disney.
Gotcha. Because I know you were kind of thinking about doing one.
Yeah, we were
outside,
going to
right?
do the Rome one, and then they got back to us and just said that they weren't going to be able to do one of the tours that we really wanted to do. So we just said the
Gotcha.
heck with it. We did it with Disney. So talk about the museums.
Museums were closed.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah, it was very
They
disappointing.
close them on Mondays.
Which was, for me, one of the big draws of Florence is they have, some of
Sure.
the best museums in the world. And unfortunately, we did not get to go inside. But,
Now,
we were walking around the outside of the Uffizi and they have just all of these statues of prominent figures in Europe, so, you have all the Medici family because they were, kind of the princes or, whatever of the city and um, controlled everything, politically, socially, artistically, but they were big patrons of the arts. And so, they sponsored a lot of the really famous artists. Um, but, Galileo, like Columbus, statues of all these different people. So it was really kind of cool to see that. Fountains,
did
just
you
the architecture, the detail on the buildings themselves was really amazing.
did you not realize the museums are closed like until you got off the ship and everything?
No, we knew it. The problem is that when we originally booked the cruise, we were supposed to be in Florence on a different date.
Oh, because I remember you said they changed the itinerary due to the F1 race or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, I listened to another podcast, and there was another reason apparently was that there were a ton of whales in that channel near Nice.
Oh.
Oh. So they had to reroute
Apparently,
to be
yes.
safe for the whales. That makes sense.
Yes.
So, yeah, and it's kind of a catch-22 because I don't want to say that I wouldn't have done the cruise had that been the original itinerary because of how I wanted to see Florence, what I wanted to see in Florence. But now it just means we have to go back
It's fair enough.
because you did like the food.
Oh, the food was spectacular.
What'd you get in Florence?
What didn't we get in Florence?
Okay.
Well, we did, as your cousin is very prone to looking up videos and trying to find people who have been places to see what there is to see and what he's interested in doing.
I'm very well researched.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not criticizing. I'm saying that's what you do. So we found a sandwich shop that was started in Florence, but has grown throughout Italy. And now I think they're opening one or have opened one in New York City. It's called Dall'Antica Vinaio. And they make the sandwiches to order. The bread is freshly baked. It's phenomenal. And they slice it right in front of you. You tell them what you want.
This is your type of place because they wanted to be on camera.
Oh,
They all
really?
turned,
they were hams.
when I was vlogging, they all turned around and gave me thumbs up. They told me to take pictures. They're like holding the bread. I mean, they were loving the vlog.
They knew all about it. They were ready to go.
Well, they've probably been subscribers for years.
I imagine so, yeah.
But it was, I mean, the bread was like, I mean, it was almost like pita bread, wasn't it? It was like just very thin on both ends.
No, it was like a modified focaccia.
That's
Okay.
the
Like
word
a
I'm
cross
looking
between
for.
a focaccia and a ciabatta. It was very, very interesting, but like kind of a harder crust, but then really nice, fluffy inside. And they're really famous for their spreads.
And we got what, like an olive
We got like
spread?
a truffle spread.
Yeah,
It
truffle
was
spread.
amazing.
That sounds good.
But I mean, the sandwich was the size of my head. One sandwich was more than enough for the two of us.
And it
to
was like
split. It was like
$11 or
11
something.
euros. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it was ridiculous. They cut it right there for you. It's all fresh.
And they wrap it so that, you can eat it with your hands and you're not dripping stuff all over the pavement or whatnot. But
Yeah,
it's incredible because it's gotten so popular that they literally have, multiple locations in the city. But where we went, they literally had 3 right next to one
Yeah, it was
another
like
and
a
then one
Dunkin'
across the street.
Donuts in
Oh, really?
Boston. There was one they were next to each other and like one across the street. It was insane.
I'd rather start my day with a dirty Italian sandwich than a nice coffee anyway, wouldn't you?
No, absolutely.
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 About the same price nowadays, $11.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we were just blown away looking at the menu. I mean, some of the sandwiches were like in the 7s.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
And obviously they cut all the meats fresh and everything too, right?
Everything
yeah.
was fresh. Everything's fresh there. It was phenomenal.
Nothing crazy though. It's just basics. Good, simple
That's all
ingredients.
it is. That's what I found in Italy was it wasn't nothing was crazy. It's just basic, fresh ingredients.
The thing is, like with Italy, from what I've always heard, and you guys can speak to it, they serve what's in season and they serve what's fresh and
And they serve
local.
what's local.
And that's why
Mm-hmm.
things are better there. They're
Right.
not trying to force in, like, not every restaurant's going to have the same thing because they think that's what people want. They serve you what is going to be best based on what's in season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you obviously will have, the more touristy restaurants and they always have this, they always have that. But I mean, we didn't have we had one subpar experience, but
Yeah.
for the most part, we really loved everything we ate. And then I
Now,
didn't realize I had wanted to do a bunch of shopping in Florence, and we didn't do that because Mike wanted steak.
Well, when in Florence, you have to get the bistecca parts.
yeah, steak Florentine, right?
Oh my goodness gracious! I
So-
don't know what they do. They say don't they say like they just do something different with the cattles, or it's because of where it is geographically,
Right.
where the grass is different, and they all do it the same way. It's probably like a porterhouse / T-bone, and they basically just sear it really really high on both ends,
Okay.
and they come out. I'd say a rare.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a little hesitant to say the least because that's not how I enjoy my steak typically. But I figured, all these people can't be wrong, and it was amazing.
And it
When
was
in
like
Rome.
Shulis. He brought it out. He said, "This is going to be a steak," and we both agreed, "Yep, that's fine. That looks good." And we got a salad, right? We split a salad.
And potatoes.
Yeah, and we got potatoes with the steak. And I mean, I'm talking 15, 20 minutes later, the steak was brought out.
Now, just for logistics, how long after you had this giant sandwich were you eating this filthy steak?
45 minutes.
minutes. Yeah, it
Oh,
was not. We got into a little tiff actually because I was not hungry and I didn't realize that he had really wanted to get this steak.
Yeah.
Well, what would you rather do? Would you rather go shopping or get a 2-pound porterhouse?
Yeah, I might have skipped the sandwich or something, but I get
Well,
what
you
you're
can't.
saying.
Those things are famous.
All right.
But like I
guess
told her, I
you-
was like, well, you just, I'll go shopping. You go get the steak. He's like, I can't eat all that by myself.
bringing a to-go bag back on the ship.
Oh, it was so good.
It really was. It was excellent.
Yeah.
And it
Now,
was
did
so simple.
Yeah. Do you have a glass of wine with it, Mike?
I did not.
I
No.
didn't either.
No.
Hmm.
I think we got like a bottle of water, didn't we?
Mhm.
Like whatever their bottled water is.
Yeah.
Rhodey just joined us in studio.
So basically, you did the tours, you had a little break, and you just ate during the break.
Right.
Yes.
I can't say that's the worst play I've heard.
No, and one of the things that we noticed kind of on all of the tours is that these companies kind of have deals with different stores. So if you go in and browse, then you can use their restroom. And there were a bunch of people who ended up buying things. We did not, but I mean, they had some absolutely gorgeous things in the shop that we were in that day.
Because
I
what are
coulda
they
spent
known
a
for?
lot
Their
of money.
leather.
Leather,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
paper. I did buy I bought some note cards and a journal. Um, but I mean, most of the stores, their English is fairly limited because we did have to stop and ask how to get to the sandwich shop.
Yeah, we walked into was
It's
a
like a
little
store.
convenience store, and Susie, from the couple of months of messing around, what were you using?
Duolingo.
No.
Asked the girl, and she speaks English, and she just smiled and nodded. I'm like, oh no. So then
She said like a little bit.
yeah. So she named the sandwich shop, and the girl knew exactly, and she basically told us like 2 stoplights and hang a right.
There you go. Well, you got there.
Exactly.
Now, these shops, are they like old, like mom and pops, or are they kind of like tourist traps to some extent?
I mean,
Little bit
the
of
ones
both.
with the bathrooms, I would say, were tourist traps.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, around the city, you kind of have a mix.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And obviously, the further away you get from kind of the attractions, the main attractions, the more authentic they get.
Yeah, makes sense.
But
So what else you get up to in Florence on this excursion?
that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
That was about it. Because we had after our lunch, we had to meet them, and then we were just going to head right back to the bus.
We went to the bus and then we went to Pisa.
Then we drove over to Pisa.
Oh, so you were still on an excursion. You just were done with Florence at that point.
We were done with Florence at
Right.
this time. Yep.
Gotcha. So you went to Pisa, obviously the Leaning Tower. That's the big attraction there. Did you get to see that?
Yes.
Was that like the main thing?
I mean, I loved it because you see it on every pizza box in the United States. So it was something that I wanted to see.
Yeah, yeah.
Your dad wasn't a big fan of it, right?
Right.
Um,
Because it really is. It's just a big like church complex. So there's a
Gotcha.
church, there's the tower, which is the bell tower, and then there's a baptistry, and then some other building. I don't remember what that was, but then there's a big wall around it. So it's kind of like a park with these things there. And then as soon as you get outside of the actual church area, they have like a couple of restaurants, like quick serve restaurant kind of places, and like a bunch of people selling souvenirs.
yeah.
Leaning Tower keychains and
Yeah, exactly. Postcards.
Yeah.
Watches.
Yeah, lots of watches. Yeah, I
were
got
they like
chased
in the
around a
coat,
few
like
times.
in New York City, or
kind of like that, like on the boards. Yeah,
But like
Yeah.
a bunch of like Indian and African guys.
Yeah,
Very odd.
bunch of Indian guys.
they were hustling pards.
I loved Pisa though. I thought it
Yeah.
was so cool to see. So freaking cool, didn't you think?
It was cool. I wouldn't go out of my way to see it again.
Yeah, but it was nice on our
But
way
yeah.
back to the boat. We got to spend a couple hours. We took a lot of pictures.
Nice.
And our tour guide did a good job on the bus explaining the whole history
Mhm.
of just that area, the church.
Yeah, all the tour guides that we had were incredible.
That's good. I'm sure that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
For those
Yeah,
types
it's just
of things.
it's hard when you're in a group like that, and you all have the headphones and the whatever. So depending on how close you are to the person, like sometimes I couldn't hear very well. But
And that
it was
was
still good.
that was the guy who I thought his wife had COVID. Remember, she had some type of bronchitis. Remember, she was hacking the whole ride up to Florence.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up talking to him, and that's when I found out he was a big boy parts. He had, I want to talk thousands of DVC points.
Oh yeah.
Thousands of DVC points. And on the way back to the bus, where were they from? Utah. They were from the West Coast because he had a bunch of
Yeah.
Grand Cal, and he's trying to talk me into buying Grand Cal. Susie's getting irritated because she can overhear the conversation.
It's always the guy, isn't it?
It's always the guy.
Thousands of points.
It's got
He was
like
on the Pete Werner plan, huh?
He was on the Peter plan.
I just think about those dues. If you have like 2,500 points, you're
Peter was putting those dues on that Amex card, though, too.
well, I'm sure, but I'm just saying, like, reasonably, I'd love to have those points, but those dues, they add up pretty quick. Over the course of the contract, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars
Hundreds of
in
thousands
dues.
of dollars in dues, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're
After
not
Pete-
thinking about dues at that point, though.
No, I guess not.
You're
I guess if
thinking
you,
how many nights in a grand villa, how many one bedrooms can you get?
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so that was about it for day one, wasn't it? We just went back to the boat. We did our
The spa.
we did the spa.
What was your dining rotation that night?
Remember that way that it was the third night.
It was Animator's Palette.
Animator's Palette.
How was that place?
It was decent.
It was good. It was much better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be just total weasel centric, but it was the food was good.
Well,
It
again,
was
you were on like an anti-weasel cruise and at the
Correct.
dinner, so you were like,
Correct.
pretty insulated from that.
I mean, what was fun was at the end when we had to play those games that none of us could figure out.
Yeah. Yeah, our server would give us like different games.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he'd be like, like figure out how to get these two things apart with only one move, figure out how to turn this from this to this, and you can only move two things.
Oh, like the matchsticks make it go from
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
this
stuff
to-
like
yeah.
that. So it was fun because we were like just wrapping up, finishing dessert, and having coffee, and all 8 of us are trying to use our
Your brain
Brains
power to
and
get it.
failing
eggheads. Yeah,
miserably.
exactly.
And then we started overthinking, so it was fun.
Yeah, because we couldn't figure one out, and he came over, and it was like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me!"
It was so super easy, right?
It was like Yurgina Jr. would have nailed it like within 30 seconds, and you have 4 adults who are like, I got me."
Any shows that night or anything, or no?
No, we didn't do any shows during the excursions because we were just basically back on the boat, over to the spa, down to dinner, and then over to have beers with Hippie Guy.
I mean, dinner was at 8:30.
Yeah.
So by the time we finished, it was 10:30 most nights. And then Mike would go drink and I would go to bed because to be up again at 6. So
That's early. Now, what'd you guys do about like breakfast when you had to get up so early? You said you went and got some stuff early that first day, but
Yeah, we got breakfast almost every day, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
is it open? Like the buffets are open
Yeah,
Yeah.
they actually will open it even super early during the days where we're
just because of the excursions? they
yeah,
open
because
before
like the
getting
day
off,
if we're leaving at 7, they'll open it up at 5.
Gotcha.
I think their normal hours were like 6 to
Noon or whatever.
6 to noon. Yeah, they'd open it always an hour earlier
Gotcha.
if we had an early excursion.
Well, that helps because it wouldn't be very fun having to get up super early and then be out without having to eat. Getting
Right.
to eat.
Right.
How were the breakfast buffets in general? Decent or just?
excellent.
Amazing.
Oh, really good.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
They had their potato. They weren't potato barrels. They were like basically like the McDonald's hash browns.
Oh,
Yeah.
those are my favorite kind.
They came
They
like
were so
they
good.
came like in a triangle.
Okay.
And I would say I would actually go out and say that they're better than the McDonald's hash
'Cause
browns.
they
Like,
weren't as greasy.
they weren't as greasy. They were crunchy, soft in the middle, perfectly salted. And if you're bringing this stuff, if you're bringing the food service back to your room, you're probably bringing like 5 just for yourself.
Yeah, that sounds perfect because I love the McDonald's ones, and the only problem is they can be too greasy. So if
Yep,
you're saying it's
these
like a less
were-
greasy version. That's
And it's
perfect.
funny because you always watch YouTubes and you always read everybody talks about these hash browns. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
they got to be okay, but they can't
Yeah,
be that
how
great.
good
You're
can they
mass
be?
producing.
Yeah,
You're mass producing these hash browns. Oh my god, they were amazing.
they're that
The
good. Yeah.
eggs, the scrambled eggs, were not like your value resort eggs. They were good.
Nice.
Then parts they had this steak, and it was like a New York strip. I mean, it had grill marks. It was decent. It was thick. Like I'd bring 2 of those back with some scrambled eggs and hash browns and sausage.
Blueberry
You're ready to go.
pancake.
Yeah, amazing spread. Amazing spread. We talked in the last episode about a sail away lunch where we had prime rib and crab legs and shrimp cocktail. But I thought the breakfast was excellent.
Well, they
Didn't
had
you?
everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
oatmeal and fruit and everything.
So it's
All.
not like a little continental breakfast where there's
Not
some
at
all.
almonds and some
Not at
cereal.
all.
It's like a whole 9
And that
yards.
was my only issue because there were a couple of days that I was like, well, we'll just get room service and that way we don't have to worry about getting upstairs and whatever. But the room service breakfast really was just a continental breakfast. And I was
Oh,
like,
good.
nah, I don't just want to have like orange juice and a croissant.
I mean, I'd compare it to some of the higher price character breakfast on property. This was as good as a Cape May Cafe.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Nice.
But yeah, so that was a long-ish day. It wasn't terrible.
Right, the Florence.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now you're sailing. What's the next port for the next day?
Rome. Civitavecchia is the port itself.
Okay. Now this was
That was a
busy day.
long bus ride. That was like an hour and a half
Oh, really?
into Rome, right?
And the thing I was telling the guys on the golf course, what I couldn't wrap my head around was that you're getting onto the quote interstate, and you're looking over and like I'll just see like an old fireplace with bricks around it. I'm like, that used to be a house. Like they don't demolish things and rebuild. Like it was a house that was like there 800 years ago.
It's just
like,
gone, and now it's just an empty lot.
It's just an empty lot. Like you could see the inside, and then there's the bricks for the fireplace. And that's all you saw. And like we saw that all over Italy, didn't we? Sides of the roads, you saw, oh, that used to be a little village 1,000 years ago. It's just crazy.
And they don't put a Walmart up or anything.
No.
Yeah.
Was it Italy or was it in Spain where they changed the speed limit?
Yeah, it was in Spain.
Because that was very interesting. Like you would see, like they just have the signs, like the highway signs, but they would post the speed limit based on the traffic at that time or the road conditions at that time.
Because it was raining when we were coming from the airport.
Oh, so it was like a digital speed limit sign.
Yeah.
They would just update it.
And they could update it. It was pretty cool, yeah.
So like in Rhode Island, if it was snowing, they could make the highway like 30.
Right.
Something.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Not that anyone listens.
No.
So what'd you end up doing in Rome? A lot to do there.
A lot. We started at the Vatican.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
did that live up to it, Mike? I know you were looking forward to that.
So I'm a big map nerd, as you know.
Yeah.
And we're coming in, and it's been raining the whole ride. Now you look, and it's starting to clear up, and we're gonna get some sunny skies. And we're like just basically downtown, and we're at a stoplight, and to the left is like their equivalent of a CVS. Over to the right, the other side is like a check cash in place, and I'm looking
apartments
and you name it, just
big, regular city stuff.
Yeah.
And then I look and I see St. Peter's Basilica, and I'm like, it's right there. Like it's literally right there. Like we're on a main road. We're basically like on Post Road.
Yeah.
And you're looking and you see St. Peter's Basilica, the top of the dome. I'm like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. And we just pulled into like basically a bus stop. It was a bus depot where all the tour buses were. And we got out and we were walking through, and they said, do we have to pay to use the bathroom there? Or was that like our last free one?
No, I think we paid.
We did because they took change. They took change for
Mm-hmm.
euros and stuff.
They had a machine, yeah.
Yep. And then you just walk in, and then there's the square. I mean, it's like you see on TV. It was crazy. It was better than I expected.
Oh, good.
With the exception of the fact that we didn't actually get into St. Peter's.
Were you supposed to? Or just was too busy? Or
no,
it was we could have if we had enough time, and we ended up not having enough time.
Gotcha.
But like we're geeking out. We're talking to the guide, and one of the guys said, so like when they're selecting a pope, where's that chimney where you can see the black smoke and the white smoke? And she's pointing, it's over there. I'm like, God, I remember the Pope John Paul when I was a kid and watching all the popes being elected. And it's just like you watch Christmas Eve Mass, and there's a basilica right there that you see on TV all the time.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how many people go through that place every day. I mean, we had, our tickets were prepaid. We had a time that we were allowed to enter, and we're walking past this line that stretched for miles of people who
really? Just
were waiting to buy tickets or had tickets, for a later time. And it was insane. And it's kind of a madhouse, to be honest. Like Mike was even saying at one point, he's like, "There's no way I would have wanted to do this on our own."
Yeah, just so many people. Just
Thousands and thousands and thousands of people trying to get into this museum.
But it was astonishing. There's really no other word. Just the amount of stuff in that museum is incredible.
yeah,
And I mean, just the detail and the age. And I mean, and that's a fraction of what they actually own. And then was it when we were going in or when we were coming out that we saw the Praetorian Guard?
I don't remember.
But it's really cool because they're like, the Pope's private security force, basically. And they wear these
and stuff, right?
uniforms that were designed by Michelangelo. And they're very old school, yellow and blue bloomer, like knickers.
Yeah.
Very, very, it's very cool. Because, you hear about it and you don't really think much about the fact that, like, no, like, this is their job. Like, there's the cops and they're going to work.
Yeah, he shows up in like his Gucci shirt and he's got to change into that thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you think they drive in their little Fiat or something? They're driving down the road. They got all this stuff.
Either that or the little scooters.
Yeah, exactly. It's very silly to think of.
The Vespers or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, you don't like art. And
No,
you
none of.
were
Yeah.
impressed by it.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. And then they take you out into a courtyard and you can see the basilica again off in the distance, and you hear the church bells going. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah. And it's its own country, technically, right?
Yeah, it's technically its own country. Yeah.
I'm assuming they don't do like passport check and all that going in and out.
No.
That would slow things
That
up.
would take
I would
way too
imagine
long.
so. Yeah.
But you do have to go through security to get into the museum. So
yeah, I could see that. Did you go to like the ancient? You went to the cathedral, right? Or the Colosseum, rather?
Yeah, we did that. That was like our last stop.
Okay.
And so when we left the Vatican, we went to lunch. And they had set lunch up for us at this restaurant. Just kind of downtown Rome restaurant.
So this was part of the tour. This wasn't you were on your own.
It was.
Correct. Yeah. Yep. Lunch was included.
Was it good? The restaurant they picked?
No.
It was freaking phenomenal.
I mean, they seated us, and right away they have bottles of wine and champagne all over the place with sparkling and regular bottles of water.
But like the white tablecloth, like it was a nice upscale experience.
Well, I know a lot of places in Italy, from what I've heard, they just kind of like bring you stuff. They don't even have like menus necessarily. I don't know if
That's what this was. Yeah, we didn't order off a menu, but it was
prefix. Yeah,
it's probably just what they do. Is this is what we serve
for the groups.
Because we did have a choice of salmon or chicken.
That's true. Yes, that's right.
But we started with a salad,
mm-hmm.
and then they brought out this dish that I tried to make last weekend, and it didn't quite live up to it. But it was so simple, but it was so amazing. It was like a baked penne, but they layer it like lasagna. And so I was asking for the recipe, and nobody could really understand me. They say receipt.
Oh yeah.
And so they're like penne. I'm like, like pomodoro. I'm like tomato. Okay. And then there's eggplant, mozzarella, and bechamel. And it's super simple and it's so good.
Yeah.
And that was almost like an appetizer.
Yeah, it was an appetizer. And I mean, it was stacked, and you had to go in with your fork like you're eating a lasagna.
Yeah, and
just kind of break it apart. And oh my God, was it good?
It was good, yeah.
And
simple
they were
and
bringing
fresh.
like the fish out. I'm like, I just want more of
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had the chicken, which you said was good.
It was amazing. And it was simple. It was basically like cooked like in a lemon, like had some like lemon. It was tossed through like lemon and olive oil. And like when
Just
it came to
simple,
the plate,
yeah.
you looked at it, you're like, yeah, this would be okay. And then I cut and took a bite. And I'm like, God, how can a chicken be this good?
Yeah, the salmon was excellent.
Nice.
And then I don't remember what the dessert was, but I remember I really liked
It was excellent. Yeah.
Some kind of was it like a lemon cake or something?
Yeah. It was like it was a cake because it wasn't a tiramisu or anything.
Right. It was very good. And then after that, we walked kind of down through like the Forum and all the ruins of ancient Rome.
Now, is like ancient Rome like far away from like the city itself, or is it just kind of like you go down a street and it's like, oh, here's some ruins, and then
yeah, it's like a few blocks, and then like you're looking at the monument
it's crazy.
They made like to the unification of Italy.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and there's this park, and then you're just looking at these ruins right there, and then you look up and there's the Colosseum.
Well, didn't we do the Trevi Fountain after that?
Oh, you're right.
Yep.
You're right. My bad.
That's okay.
But still, everything's like walking distance. It's not like you're off 30 miles.
After lunch, we did get back on the bus because the bus was parked right on the corner of that restaurant.
Bus took us to the fountain.
And then we went over to the Trevi Fountain.
And then I think we walked.
Yes.
From there.
Nice.
Yep.
But I guess it's just not a big sprawling city. It's kind of a small, and everything's there.
It was one of the bigger cities. I would probably small in Barcelona, but
it's hard to tell because we went
didn't see
in
the
by
whole
bus.
thing, right?
Yeah, true.
But
what did you think of like
my
all
dad
the
said that when
Rome?
they went, they got lost because the city is walled.
Oh, okay.
And it's just a big circle.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Ended up in like a not so great area. And they're like, oh, like we think we're like, not too far. And they talked to somebody like, no, you're pretty far away from where you want to be.
What were you going to say, Gary?
No, I was just saying like it's how far, like what did you think of like the ruins in the Colosseum? Like just
so I loved it
because thousands of years old. It's crazy.
Yeah, like we're standing. It's a park, and there's tons of people there, and there's guys performing. They got guitars. I mean, they were singing Beatles. They were doing a lot of Beatles hits. And the guy's got the guitar and he's just singing, and he's got a microphone, and people are just sitting on park benches
having
and
gelato,
and you're looking at stuff that are thousands of years old. I'm like, oh my God. Cause again, I'm not into museums, but this was like, it was crazy to me. Or history. Yeah. I'm not
I think just the scope of it though, like you think of like Boston is an old city in the US.
Right.
And it's 200 years old.
Exactly.
I mean, almost 300, whatever. You know what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
And then these are multiple thousands years old.
Yes.
Like civilization was born there. It's like that was the first city, essentially.
Insane to me.
Yeah.
It was so crazy. It was so cool.
The fact that there's stuff still standing. I mean,
yes,
you can call it ruins, but the fact that like the Colosseum, you could hold an event in there. Basically, it's not like completely rubble at this point. Is a testament to.
No, they did say that they have restored parts of it, so it's not fully original.
Okay.
But still.
Yeah.
Like just seeing how things were built, and like, we looked down at one point, and like you could see the aqueducts, and they have like fountains that were built, all of these years ago that you can still use. Like they're just fresh water that comes up from the aqueducts, and you just put your reusable bottle under, and it's really cool.
That's crazy.
And then when we're in the park, we're just talking, farting around, and I look out of the corner of my eye. I go, that's the Coliseum, isn't it? She looks over. She's like, yep. I mean, it was literally like a half a mile from where we were. And it was like, it's like, remember when you were a kid and you went to your first Red Sox game and you see the lights and you're like, that's Fenway Park.
Yeah.
Like I've seen Fenway Park my whole life as a kid on TV, and that's Fenway Park. Like that first view of like something spectacular. And I was like,
yeah,
that's a Coliseum. Like
no,
right
I
in
mean,
front of us.
Yeah. It's crazy the age of stuff though, especially being American, like how young America is compared to Europe.
Exactly. When you see, like the different, I mean, I think it was more noticeable to us in Spain because of the tour that we did in downtown Barcelona, but like you see the progression of like, these are the Roman ruins, and then these are, this is this style of architecture, and then this style of architecture came in.
Yeah.
It was killer.
Yeah, and it's funny because I had heard Rome was dumpy, it was unsafe, everybody's gonna rob you. I loved it. It was my favorite place in Italy.
Nice.
Hands down, loved Rome.
You liked it better than Sorrento?
Yeah, because it was more city.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
fair.
more city.
It's a
That makes
tease
sense.
for next week's episode, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean,
So
that was a long day, though.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a long day. That was a long day because we did not go to dinner that day, Parts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did not.
By choice, or you got back that
By
late?
choice. I was
By
so
choice, we got
beat.
back and we did the
The spa.
because we got back at 7.
Yeah.
And it took us a while because they had to passport a couple buses because they won't let us all just get off because then there'll be a couple hundred. So there were like 7 or 8 tours that came back. So they just
Gotcha.
keep us back and we sit. And then once a bus goes and we go next. So, you're not held up too much going back through the metal detectors to get on the ship. But by the time I'd say we got on, it was 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "You want to go to the spa, right?" You're like, "Yeah, I'm exhausted." And it was 5 minutes to 8. And I'm like, we basically have to make a decision because we're going to have to get up and we can't shower at this point. We're just going to have to put some decent clothes on and go to dinner. And it's like, I don't really want to go. I just kind of want to sit here. So we just sat at the spa.
Mm-hmm.
I think I went down to the club and got a beer.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got a drink and we just sat up.
The sunset.
We
on
watched the
deck.
sunset on the deck.
Nice. Did you get like any food later at one of the buffets?
Yeah, you ordered
I got room service.
because
Oh,
they don't
nice.
do the buffets at night because they have all the rotational dining.
That makes sense.
So.
Yeah. But there's
so
some
you got
stuff
room
that's
service?
open, right? Near the
What's
pools and
that?
stuff. Isn't there stuff like near the pools?
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
Oh,
can
yeah,
always
yeah,
get
yeah.
Yeah, because that's what you ended up getting.
Yeah, yeah. Like I went back down and hung out with Hippie Guy,
Of course.
of course. And then I went up because they close at around midnight or whatever. So I grabbed like a small pizza and some chicken fingers.
Nice.
But then outside the bars, they have like a happy hour where they'll have like finger sandwiches and
They did it all night.
nachos. Yeah.
It
Oh,
was
you
like
said
a
that like
little-
at the bars they just bring food out, right? Like little buffets of appetizers and stuff.
Yeah, they had them like
Mhm.
like in the common area. You get chicken
Nice.
wings and what have you.
like little desserts. The
That's
other
cool.
thing that I don't think we mentioned last time, because we didn't talk about getting off the ship, when you got back from an excursion, they would have like water stations set up, and so people would hand you water.
And they had cold towels too
Yeah.
because there was
Oh,
one
okay.
A
day that
couple
was pretty
places.
warm. Yeah, so they had cold towels as you're waiting to get on the ship.
It was nice, and they did ask that you sanitize your hands before you got back on the ship too, which I thought was interesting.
It's like putting a band-aid on a bullet wound.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part.
But yeah, it was such a long day that I was like, I don't want to go to like another 2-hour dinner tonight.
Right. And you had already been to that restaurant because there's only 3.
Yeah,
right?
because now we're
Right.
back to our first rotational.
Yeah, makes sense. Anything else from these 2 days you want to mention, or should we wrap things up?
I don't think so. We can wrap it up. We've got our first video out on our YouTube channel. Did you watch it? The 80s
I don't-
music trivia?
No, because I don't know where the YouTube channel is. You have to promote it more.
Oh, it's at just DVC Addicts.
Okay, youtube.com/@DVCaddicts.
It's a great
Subscribe.
video. Yours truly is. He's got some pipes. I don't know if you've heard me sing or not, but I've got some pipes.
I did get an email that they took it down in multiple countries due to copyright claims.
How are they taking it down? You got like Madonna.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I think it's from your voice parts.
Oh, is it from my voice?
They don't want it to go international. Yeah.
Yeah, we got like a couple countries wouldn't allow our.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Oh well.
they're lost, right?
Exactly.
They're
That's what I'm
lost.
Yeah.
saying. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. Anyways, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and YouTube at DVC Addicts. Email the show info@addictedtodvc.com and join our Facebook group, DVC Addicts. For my cousin and co-host Gary up in Rhode Island, and for Suzie joining us here in sunny Sarasota, Florida, I'm Mike in Florida. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk again next week.
Thank you for listening to the Addicted to DVC podcast with Mike and Gary. We want to hear from you. Email us at info@addictedtodvc.com and follow us on all socials at DVC Addicts. We appreciate you being a part of our DVC community, and we'll see you again on our next episode. Thanks again for listening, and welcome home.